Hello everyone, welcome to Troubleshooting Tuesdays. This is Selena here, and today we are going to be talking about histamine and estrogen. So let me just jump right in here to my favorite chart by Ben Lynch. Let me get my screen share going here. So if you are unfamiliar with the estrogen and how it's connected to MTHFR, I'm going to give a super brief overview here. So MTHFR we have right here, pretty much smack middle on the screen. That's MTHFR makes methylfolate. It combines the MTR gene with methylcobalamin, which is methyl B12, homocysteine, and zinc. So it kind of keeps this cycle working and this cycle, these recyclings working, and makes something called, or goes to methionine, and the methionine with magnesium and ATP makes something called SAMe. Now, SAMe is super important for many, many processes throughout our body. Mostly, though, you're going to look at genes that have MT at the end of it. That's the methyltransferase. So if we see that, you know that, okay, your body is dependent at least on the SAMe cofactor. It may need other cofactors, but it's definitely going to need the SAMe. So where that comes into estrogen and histamine is, so here's an estrogen metabolism pathway. The COMT gene is part of the top part of here, clearing out estrogen. So if we cannot clear out estrogen through that COMT gene, things are going to get really out of balance, and we can get to where we're having the bad estrogen type things, and that's where it can lead to breast cancer and those kinds of things. And it can also lead to the other symptoms that we have surrounding our cycles, with the PMS, with painful periods, with cramps, with infertility and lack of sleep, like insomnia, or we just we're super tired, we don't have any energy. All of those things all over the gamut can happen through those symptoms because our estrogen is not being balanced. So the COMT is connected to that SAMe. So then the histamine, let's go to our histamine pathway. Okay, so here's our histamine pathway. So histamine has three different ways that it goes. And one of them over here needs that HNMT gene also needs that SAMe. So if MTHFR is not working well, this is going to be one particular route where we can have a problem clearing out histamine. We also have this histidine figlu, which that's one of the great markers for what's our folate status. And that also goes down here through the MTHFD1, which you will see in our methylation folate panel is right here, that MTHFD1. So it's kind of before the methylfolate. But that's where we kind of connect the two of them. That SAMe, the MTHFD1, gets different types of the histidine and the histamine over here on the intracellular histamine needs that SAMe. So if we don't have the methylation cycle working well, the methionine cycle well, we're not going to have cofactors that the body makes to use in other processes. So that's why it's super important to look at these cycles here. My favorite like triad of cycles that I speak about almost in every video, or any time that I'm talking about metabolism and talking about biochemistry and our physiology of how our body's working, whether it's talking about immune or inflammation or hormones or whatever it is, a lot of it's going to come back to what's going on in our transsulfuration, our methylation, our biochemical cycles, because of these cycles make things that are going to be cofactors for other very important processes. SAMe is one of them when it comes to our histamine clearance, and with our estrogen clearance, the COMT gene and the HNMT gene. Real quick here, the other thing that's made in these three cycles is something called NAD. That also, and it's over here on the left-hand side, and I'm not sure why Ben stopped for the NAD, because that goes on to make NADH, NADP, NADPH. Those things are vital, just like SAMe, in many processes, especially down here in glutathione, recycling the glutathione, this GSR. He doesn't have it on here on this GSR illustrated, but that also connects with NADP, NADPH. So if we don't have those cycles, kind of the outsides of the far left and the far right on the top working, getting SAMe and NAD, we're going to have problems in other areas of our body. And I think that the NAD I also want to show here on the histamine, I believe shows up as well right here. If we go down here through the extracellular and the intracellular, both need NAD as a cofactor. So at the ADH gene. So we need zinc, vitamin C, NAD, and B1. And you see zinc throughout many processes. Zinc is another cofactor I talk a lot about. So before we start running, though, if we see, okay, we need these cofactors, the next question I get is, oh, should I go take some more zinc? Should I go take more methylfolate? Should I go take NAD? What should I go take? So that's where I would say first, I always go to nutritiondata.self.com, and I'm going to look at what is a daily intake of these nutrients, because supplementing, we're not going to get the same as if we get it out of our food. And also when we supplement, it's like we can start then pushing pathways that we don't necessarily want to push. But when it's through our food, we're going to get the other cofactors usually from those foods. We're not really at risk of imbalancing one side or another. So nutritiondata.self.com, it's free. You basically enter in your foods, you add them to tracking, and then you get your list of foods that you've eaten for the day, and then you go down and you click Analyze Tracking, and then this will give you this report like this. It kind of shows this up. So if you scroll down on your screen, and this is usually, you got to click More Details, and it will give you all the breakdown of your micronutrients. So you can look and see, okay, how are my cofactors? What am I doing? Where do I have plenty of cofactors or plenty of nutrients? And where's I'm kind of deficient in? Like, for instance, in this particular situation, we've got, oh, the B12 isn't so bad. At 93%, that's fairly decent. Okay, well, we know that B12 needs zinc and it's going to need folate. So what's my zinc and folate? Oh, my folate's only 26%. I probably need to boost with some folate-rich foods to help get more cofactors in. What's my zinc look like? Oh, my zinc's 141%. So zinc is probably not a problem, but it's the folate. I need to be looking at getting lots of leafy greens, those kinds of things. So this is a great way to kind of look at, okay, what am I getting in my diet? Where can I make improvements at? Before we start going into supplements, getting these expensive supplements and having to pop pills that may or may not really get absorbed, or we may just be getting one piece of the puzzle and not the others. So that's kind of where I start, and that's how I would first address any issues with COMT or HNMT, besides obviously removing foods that if you have a histamine problem, maybe going a little bit lower histamine on the foods. And if you're looking at the estrogen, or if you're looking at your dopamine with a COMT, then looking at addressing the stress. There's always two things to do when we are looking at these health issues, and then I'll stop my screen so you guys can see me better, is there a roadblock that's in our way that we need to remove those roadblocks? And then is there something that's missing? Do we need to bridge a gap somewhere? So I always start with bridging the gap through whole foods and then removing any kind of roadblocks that may be putting extra burden on our body. Stress is a huge burden on our body because all of those hormones our body has to detox. So the adrenaline, our thyroid hormones, all of these kinds of things is going to need the detox pathway at some point to clear these things out. So that's why it's super important to look at stress management and create a nice stress management plan, and also recognize that sometimes the stress that we're having is a perceived stress. And so this a lot of times comes from previous trauma that we have had, even back to like why our mothers were carrying us, before that we were even born, that we could have trauma from there. So if you're having difficulty, I'm doing all the right things, I'm getting the nutrients, but I'm still having problems, that's when it's definitely time to reach out to a practitioner to really help you kind of find those clues, that be a really good detective person that can, hey, okay, these are what I'm seeing, where are some of these missing gaps at, and where can we find opportunities for healing? So I hope that was helpful on learning about COMT, histamine, and how those are connected to NKHFR, how they're connected to each other, and other processes in the body. If you have any other questions, you are always welcome to reach out to me. You all have a great day. Take care.